we've also seen over the last couple of years, and actually over the last like 9 months, this like massive push towards memory management for agentic systems, be those running agentic systems or agentic harnesses building those same systems. And a couple problems have always kind of happened with that. And one is, session reset just kills it. And you can try as hard as you want to try to document as you go, and it's never perfect. And then you have the knowledge gap that exists that's inherent in that kind of system of memory management. And then you have learning leaks that happen over time in the way you try to manage memory for, let's just say, an agentic harness system for simplicity of you doing that. And the way we've been trying to solve it is by just thinking the context window is just going to fix that for us. Just bigger context window, stuff more in there. I am totally guilty of this. I'm like very big into context engineering and the context pipeline as a means of getting the model the right data to make the right decisions. And I still believe that's true, but the way we do it, doesn't need to be tied to the early ideas we had around, retrieval augmented generation and RAG, for instance, or even, God help us, graph RAG, which, we love, but there are, perhaps simpler ways to do this. As you and I've chatted before, all an agent really needs is access to a shell, and they can grep, sed, and awk their way to a lot of value from that.
Number one command in coding tools is bash.
That is the only tool call you need is bash.
Yeah, exactly.
So my drop is I want to play this weekend with the few hours I have to do that with these new ideas. One's diff mem, and one is the one I'm going to play with is called gbrain, which is by the guy behind Y Combinator. And he basically said, okay, all you really need is just a bash shell, Git repository, and Postgres SQL with the pgvector installed in that. That is the tool chain that you need to manage the memory for your agentic thing you're doing. So this guy, Garry Tan, the guy who did this, said, well, all that really matters is you want to be able to elevate the truth that you need right now and represent that in Postgres. And then everything else is literally just a historical list of change states, and link that together and let your agent reason over that. And you don't have to use RAG, and you don't have to, pure RAG, and you don't have to try to manage, the session memory and the memory of your what do you call it, agents.md file. Just build a repository and let that do it. So he's got one that just has like people, companies, deals, concepts, ideas, and projects that just go sort of the human curated stuff. And then he has the DB curated stuff, which is the media articles and titles and transcripts from meetings and such. That's what his agents reason over for his knowledge system. So I know that will sound very familiar to you because that is what you've been building internally. That's what you've been building internally for yourself and for our company. And so
sure, yeah.
I find it, we're all converging on these same sorts of ideas of how we manage knowledge in the service of context.
And that's the great thing about our company is we have the freedom to innovate. And, we have our Futurum Intelligence platform, which is this incredibly, I don't want to say massive just in a big sense, but massively intelligent of the kind of data that it's integrated and how that's presented and how that's queryable and how that shows up in our research. And then sort of we're the edge computing part of it, right? The pieces on the edge that are doing our own ingestion analysis and feeding into the primary database. So it's a system of systems, if you will. And just a comment, let me know how that goes. I'd love to hear about it.